Anything that is concealed is a secret. The maintenance of secrets acts like a psychic poison which alienates their possessor from the community. In small doses, this poison may actually be a priceless remedy, even an essential preliminary to the differentiation of the individual. This is so much the case that even on a primitive level, man has felt as irresistible need to invent secrets. Their possession saves him from dissolving in the unconsciousness of mere community life, and thus from a fatal psychic injury. As is well known, the many ancient mystery cults, with their secret rituals, serve this instinct of differentiation. Even the Christian sacraments were looked upon as mysteries in the early church, and, as in the case of baptism, were celebrated in private apartments and only referred to under a veil of allegory. However, beneficial a secret shared with several persons may be, a merely private secret has a destructive effect. It resembles a burden of guilt which culls off the unfortunate possessor from the communion with his fellow beings. Yet, if we are conscious of what we conceal, the harm done is decidedly less than if we do not know what we are repressing, or even that we have repressions at all. In the latter case, we not merely keep a content consciously private, but we conceal it even from ourselves. In sleep, this activity shows itself in the form of dreams, and we continue to dream in waking life beneath the threshold of consciousness, especially when this activity is conditioned by a repressed or otherwise unconscious complex. It should be said in passing that unconscious contents are by no means exclusively such as were once conscious and by being repressed have later grown into unconscious complexes. Quite otherwise, the unconscious has contents peculiar to itself, which, slowly growing upward from the depths, at last come into consciousness. We should therefore in no wise picture the unconscious psyche to ourselves as a mere receptacle for contents discarded by the conscious mind. All psychic contents which either approach the threshold of consciousness from below or have sunk only slightly beneath it have an effect upon our conscious activities. Since the content itself is not conscious, these effects are necessarily indirect. Most of our lapses of the tongue, of the pen, of memory, and the like are traceable to these disturbances, as are likewise all neurotic symptoms. These are nearly always of psychic origin, the exceptions being shock effects from cell explosions and our causes. The middlest forms of neurosis are the lapses, already referred to blunders of speech, the sudden forgetting of names and dates, unexpected clumsiness, leading to injuries or accidents, misunderstandings of personal motives, or of what we have heard or read, and so called hallucinations of memory, which cause us to suppose erroneously that we have said or done this or that. In all these cases, a thorough investigation can show the existence of a content which, in indirect and unconscious way, has distorted the conscious performance. In general, therefore, an unconscious secret is more harmful than one that is conscious. I have seen many patients in difficult situations of life which might have driven weaker natures to suicide. These patients had at times a tendency toward suicide, but on account of their inherent reasonableness, would not allow the suicidal urge to come into conscious, but it remained active in the unconscious, and brought about all kinds of dangerous accidents, as for instance an attack of faintness or hesitation in front of an advancing motor car, the swallowing of corrosive sublimate in the belief that it was a cough mixture, a sudden zest for dangerous acrobatics, and so forth. When it was possible to make the suicidal learning conscious, common sense would helpfully intervene. The patients could then recognize and avoid those situations that tempted them to self destruction.